Hey everyone, welcome to Purpose Driven, Vision Inspired, the podcast where we explore the powerful intersection between purpose and vision in shaping our path to success. I'm your host, Richard Cerna, the performance strategist, and each week we will dive into the stories, strategies, and insights of those who have turned their passion into purpose and their vision into reality. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or simply someone seeking more meaning in your work and life, this podcast is here to inspire, educate, and empower you to live the intention and achieve your true potential. Let's embark on this journey together by introducing our esteemed guest, Aaron Clippinger. He is currently running two multi-million-dollar companies while growing two more companies concurrently. Aaron, do you even sleep?
Well, thank you for having me on your show. And no, the answer is no, I don't. And that's right off the bat is a lie. I sleep all the time. Dude, that intro gave me goosebumps. Well, we got entrepreneurs, we got everybody. This is a podcast for everybody and then some.
Yes, we are getting after it. The goal is to really help people connect, right? Connect with their purpose. We all have a purpose. We all have a unique blueprint, footprint, or thumbprint, whatever you want to call it, print. But there's only one of us. And so many of us, we go throughout our lives without fulfilling that purpose. Sometimes people don't even know what that purpose is. And that's the true intention of this podcast, is to help people spark, get some ideas, get that light bulb moment. And we do that by bringing guests like yourself who have gone through, been through it, done it, and are doing it. And that's why we're here.
I like it. I do like it. Well, yes, I have done it. I am doing it, and I have failed and succeeded on multiple fronts. Let's dive into it a little bit. So everybody's always asked, how do you do four companies? And my answer to that is very simple. When you have an idea, chase it. That's really what it is. The first company is a family business. So that one I was kind of born into. Let me take that silver spoon out of my mouth just for a second here. And that was a multi-million-dollar company that I grew up into, dialed in. Dad retired. I bought it. And that company does, about 6 million a year. We got about 30 employees or so, and it does well. It kind of tinkers along. I don't want to grow it anymore because it is very not recession proof. Recessions get hit hard by that company. So I kind of, hang out on that one. And then the other company is my software company, and it's a SaaS platform software where it is an ERP software system that runs custom manufacturing facilities. So obviously I built it for myself for the sign company, and then I monetized it. And now we are close to 7 countries now running it and about 5,000 users. So it's an international brand now. Didn't know that was going to be a word that's going to come out of my mouth, but here we are.
Yeah. Outstanding. And we could talk cybersecurity another day. When you say the word international, oh my God, where I can go with that. But man, it's exciting to hear the evolution of your career and how it's unfolded. And I'd like to start because, today we're really here to focus on daily habits, right? And how they can impact our lives, good, bad, ugly, and different. And it sounds like you've created some really outstanding habits, and you've had to in order to have the success that you've had. So could you start by sharing a bit about your journey? You have already, but combining how have daily habits played a role in the success that you've had?
Well, I don't know how much they play a role in or how much they just kind of put me in the right place at the right times. So I will walk you through my morning routine of what I do. Everybody says that a good morning routine is impeccable and valuable and blah, blah, blah. And I've played with a whole bunch of different ones. And in the end, the one that works for me is the one that I've always done. So I've tried meditation, not poo-pooing on anybody that meditates, not my bag. I'll sit there for 10 minutes, and within 10 seconds, I'm right back to where my brain was. So meditation's not my bag, not for me. And a couple other ones that I liked, but it wasn't my bag. So here's me. This morning, I have an alarm set at 4:52 a.m. That is 8 minutes before I want to wake up. That alarm goes off, and that is my 8-minute cuddle time with my wife. And I find her in the bed, and I pull her close, and we cuddle for 8 minutes, and I hold her tight. And that's just something to make sure that her and I know the reasons why we're getting up in the morning is for each other. And so I have an 8-minute. At 5 a.m., the second alarm goes off. She gets a kiss on the cheek or kiss on the back of her neck, and then I'm out of bed and into the restroom and getting my clothes changed on for the gym. I walk out at about 5:10 to my kitchen. I have a protein shake right off the bat. If you guys done the 4-hour work week, you'll understand why I do that, and or the 4-hour workout. I'm sorry, you'll understand why I'm doing that. And then I walk my butt right outside to my cold plunge, and I get in that cold plunge. Now, I will tell you that I know there's a bunch of health benefits for a cold plunge. I don't get into the health benefits. I really could care less about that. It is me versus this guy right here, this mind.
Yeah.
It, and oh man, have you ever seen a toddler throw a tantrum?
Oh
And the
yeah.
toddler lost his toy, or they haven't been fed, and their blood sugars are off, and the toddler just loses it.
Mhm.
And the parent comes up and they grab the toddler and they hold him tight, and the toddler's screaming and crying. And then after a while, within a minute, they calm down and then they relax and they're fine.
Yeah.
That is the best analogy I can give you to what happens in my brain every single time I get in that cold plunge.
It never gets old. It never gets comforting, right? So
Not once.
that's funny.
My brain goes into bargain mode immediately. Goes, well, we didn't
Yeah.
drink last night. We don't need to be in this for 3 minutes. 1 minute's just fine. Hey, you got to work out. Your bus is going to be cold. You don't need to be here. And my brain will throw every bargaining thing it can right at me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the back of my brain, the same person that's arguing with itself, is sitting there going, just be quiet. It'll go away. Relax.
Mhm.
And I will never falter. That 3 minutes, hands down, I will be in it for that 3 minutes.
That's outstanding. It sounds like that wakes up the discipline side of you, right? I think I've heard you say before, you get monkey brain. I remember that term because I get monkey brain too, and
Yeah.
getting in there kind of brings you back to center, right? It sounds like you've got an outstanding morning routine. I love the 2 alarms and the purpose behind the alarms. That's really awesome. It's a great reminder as to why.
Yep. And
That's
then
awesome.
and then the last part of that morning routine is a workout. I
Hmm.
have a gym at my house. I know me, I'm so lazy that if I got to drive just 5 minutes to the gym, I won't do it.
Yep.
And so over the last 30 years, I've slowly bought gym equipment, and now I have a pretty sizable gym at my house, and
Hmm.
uh, and I work out every morning, and that kind of centers me, the brain, the body. I only get one body, so at the end of the day, I gotta take care of the health before anything else. I only got one of these,
That's
so
right.
that's my routine. Then after that, it's chaos for the rest of the day.
That's right. Well, you know what they say, right? Fortune finds the prepared, right? So,
Yeah,
get up, have your routine, make it a great habit or series of habits, and fortune will find you. You won't have to go looking for it because you'll be in position. That's awesome. Well, I'd like to kind of explore some habits, right? Key habits in out of the habits that you've shared. What would you say are your top three, right? So, what have been the most instrumental in your success?
the most instrumental in my success is working out in the mornings.
Okay.
Hands down workout. Now I've worked out ever since I've been 16 every single morning during the week. I always take the weekends off. I never work out on the weekends
Mhm.
unless something during the week made it so catastrophic I couldn't work out for 1 or 2 days. Then I'll kick it into the weekend. But other than that, weekends are for resting. Weekdays are for working 5 days a week. But I've worked out since I've been 16, and I always have, and that's one of my centering points.
And that's outstanding. I love it. But so why is that your top? Like, what does that do for you?
It makes me feel good about myself. It
Okay.
makes me feel like I've done something, I've accomplished something. People are just getting
Mhm.
out of bed and either you got your swell on, you feel good about yourself. You look in the mirror and you go, yeah, I'm better than when I was when I woke up. It's
Yeah.
already a win. You hear people say, you want to have a win in the morning to make sure your brain's in winning mode. Everybody says, make your bed in the
Mhm.
morning. Well,
Yep.
I've been making my bed in the morning ever since I've been 5 years old.
Yeah.
My parents tell that story all the time. They laugh. They taught me how to make my bed one time, and the very next day, my dad's like, I thump a quarter on the bed. And that's just been me. I'm type A. I've always
Yeah.
known that about myself.
Mhm.
But working out, my body feels good. My blood is flowing. My brain has all the oxygen it needs. I can think clear.
Mhm.
I'm a huge opponent from working out in the morning. So that's my number one.
That's great. I appreciate you expanding on that because so often, so many people they neglect one aspect of their lives, right? And some people wake up and all they'll do is focus on their brain. They'll read, they'll do a devotional, they'll meditate, and they'll forget about the workout, or vice versa. But having that well-rounded approach, it I think it's really important. It's critical to become the best version of yourself. So appreciate the expansion there. So when it comes to tasks, so we create habits. They carry over into our day, and they carry over into our goals, and
Mhm.
even to our vision. So how would you say you prioritize your tasks and goals each day to ensure you're consistently moving towards that North Star, that vision of yours?
Well, we all know that every single day when we wake up, we have an idea what we want, right? We get up,
Hmm.
we have our 1, 2, 3 punch. Now, I read years and years ago, only have 3 goals per day.
Yeah.
And I subscribed to that theory probably about 15 years ago. Only in the last 5 years have I actually found that to be a very, very true statement. I would
Hmm.
get 3 done before noon, and I try and get 4 or 5 done. But if I didn't get those 3 done, then I felt like a failure. And then I would work overtime and I'd work into the night. I'd skip dinner and I'd push through to try and get those 3 accomplished.
Hmm.
And what I found was there's just some times that you're not going to get them done. And that's okay because they're going to be there tomorrow and you can tackle them tomorrow. Now,
Yep.
I am a huge guy that I work first, play later.
Hmm.
I'm the guy that wakes up at Saturday morning, 7 a.m. is sleeping in for me. So
Yep.
7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I have all my chores I got to do. My goal is to get all those chores done by 1 o'clock on Saturday, and that's it. The rest of Saturday afternoon and all day of Sunday is to do nothing. Sit by
Nice.
my pool, lounge, surf, whatever the heck I want to do, but nothing has to do with chores. So I'm a workaholic first, then I get to go and play.
Yep.
So with me, every single day, what is the top 3 things that I need to move the needle? And they're in order of what's going to move the needle the most? That's number one.
Hmm.
Second one, what is the tedious one that I really don't want to do that's going to take me a couple of hours? It's not hard rocket science, but it's just tedious and I don't want to do it. That's number 2. I still got a lot of energy in the tank and a lot of brain power. Then number 3 is usually something that's not going to move the needle. It's not that tedious. It just needs to be checked and needs to be complete. That's
Okay.
my order of operations.
That's outstanding. It's I often refer to an action priority matrix, and it sounds like you like to address the things that are in that order, right? So what is high value, low effort? Those are the innovative things that are going to really move the needle. What's the high effort and high value? It's the crap that you don't want to do, but sometimes you have to be the one to do it, right? And then what are the things that aren't going to move the needle, but they just need to be done. So that's outstanding. I like that. And for our listeners out there, if you don't know what the action priority matrix is, I recommend that you go out, look it up, because so often we find ourselves running with a chicken, like a chicken with our head cut off. We're running left, we're running right. We don't know which way's up, which way's down. And if you need to start prioritizing your day because you're either trying to level up or just live a better lifestyle, it's a great tool that can help you identify what is a waste of your time, what is something that's really going to help you get to where you want to be, and what is something that you can help lift others up because it's time to delegate that. So appreciate
It's funny you touched on something just there, and I found this in my experience. I think there's 3 levels to everything we do in life.
that. Hmm.
Number one, I do it, but I don't know why I do it or I don't know how.
Hmm.
Number 2, I do it and I know why I do it. And then the third level, which I call the mastery level, I know why I'm doing it, I can succeed in it, and I can teach it.
Yeah.
In it, so many times I will do something by gut and I have no idea why I'm doing it. Then somebody
Hmm.
puts a name to it and I go, oh, that's a name. Okay, cool. I've been doing that, but I have no idea how to name it. And then when you get to true master, you can actually teach it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. So one of the things I know about you, and at least from what I know of you, you never seem to be without motivation. You never seem to be at a low point. But we're human, and I know that sometimes there are times where you may have a low spot. It's just you're so great at coming out of that, right? So can you talk about how the role of discipline is helped you in maintaining the habits that you implement in your life, and
Sure.
especially on those days where motivation is low?
So I will talk about what I do daily. Then we'll talk about an instance where I hit a low point.
Hmm.
What I do daily, it's very simple. There's only one rule I have. There's nothing else. There's not all these steps and programs and all that BS. One rule. Here's my one rule. All my customers, I pretend, have a video camera behind my shoulder and they're watching every move I make. And I
Nice.
want them to be proud that they hired me. That's it.
That's great. Oh, wow. You're really great at simplifying things. My mind goes 100 different directions, but when you put it in terms like that, it's, be great when no, when, well, be great when everybody's looking, but in actuality, it's be great when nobody's looking, right? And so that just reminds you that, hey, you might not think that anybody's looking, but somebody's always looking. Somebody's always watching, and live your life that way so that way you can live with integrity. You can always perform, always put your best foot forward.
When you're younger, you're in your early
Hmm.
20s or in a teenager
Yeah.
and you got a job. People are literally staring at you. You have no
Hmm.
choice. You're the
Yeah.
focal point. You're there. You're a cash register. You're collecting carts at your grocery store market. Whatever you're doing, people can literally stare at you. As you get older, you find yourself behind one of these freaking monitor boxes and you're stuck behind a keyboard and nobody really sees you.
Yeah.
But what everybody forgets is they see the actions and the
Yeah.
aftermath of all your effort. And they make it there. I have only two competitors in my industry right now for my software company. Only two.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to get into this market because there's so many details. It's too difficult. And
Mhm.
of my three competitors, I win more than anybody else because they go, yours is simple, it's easy, I understand it, I get it, and I can use it. And
Mhm.
they just miss it. And it's all that effort of me sitting behind this desk when nobody was looking.
Yep.
And now I'm reaping all the rewards from it.
Absolutely. It almost sounds like your competitors aren't listening to your customers and you are because you know that they're always looking, right? And that's
Always. I,
outstanding.
I always, in fact, I got a little button. I dare anybody to go toe to toe with me in my software and any other software on the planet, including Microsoft. Do you find a button that says enhancement requests?
Mm,
Mine does.
yeah,
You can
that's
ask for
awesome.
requests to
Yeah.
make the software better in my software.
That is outstanding because, in my career, I've worked used so many different technologies, and I've never once seen a feature or enhancement request. It's always reach out to your customer success person and let them know that you see this and you think that this would add value. Well, we all know what happens there. The customer success person goes to lunch, goes to happy hour, they forget about it. It never gets talked about or taken to the product team. This goes probably straight to your product team. And then based on the list of priorities, my assumption is that you evaluate what's the demand for it, is it happening a lot, and how can we best implement it simply, right?
Yeah.
Easily. That's
It's
awesome.
funny. I tell all my clients, I said, look, you give me all the ideas in the world. I'm going
Hmm.
to tell you right now, I'm going to build the ones that move the needle the most first. That's it.
Hmm.
Plain and simple.
That's right. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about building and maintaining habits, right? So
Right?
um, when it sounds like you've got a great list of habits that you've implemented in your life, but for somebody that's trying to build a more effective routine, somebody that's, trying to screw their head on straight, what's some advice that you would give and where to start?
How do you eat an elephant? One
Mm,
bite at a
one
time.
bite at a time, right? That's
Stop
right.
putting all these pressures on you on day one. That's ridiculous. You're going to fail. That's like me. I like having a drink at night, an alcoholic
Mhm.
drink. We all know that's not healthy. We've all seen the public service announcement. We know. So am I going to say, all right, I'm going to stop cold turkey and I'm never going to have a drink for the rest of my life? That's
Mhm.
dumb. You're going to
Yeah,
fail.
yeah.
But how about you say, I'm just not going to have a drink tonight. Tomorrow's a whole new day.
Mhm.
That type of mindset, get up in the morning for your habits that you want to make. Habit number one, make your bed. That's
Mhm.
it. That's your whole routine.
Yeah.
Just make your bed. Once that becomes such a second nature, it doesn't even feel like a routine, then add another.
Yeah.
My routine started when I was 16 years old because I was tiny and skinny. I was from the
Mhm.
shallow end of the gene pool, and so I had to build muscles and I had to work out to make up for the rest of the high school kids I was fighting against in the team sport.
Mhm. Yeah.
So because of that, I worked hard and I had to fix my weaknesses.
Mhm.
And then it just turned into routine. I didn't even think about going to the gym. That's routine. People
Yeah.
get up and go, how'd you get up in the morning? Oh, it's like opening my eyes. That's just part
Yeah.
of the routine,
And it happens.
So, but it started with making the bed.
Yeah.
Then it started with going for a walk around the house. Then it
Mhm.
started, hey, let's go for a jog and that's it. Okay, let's go for a jog and lift weights. And that took 5 years. That wasn't
Yeah.
2 days,
Right.
So definitely make winnable achievements that are tiny.
That's awesome. I like how placed an emphasis on start with one, and when
Yes.
it becomes a habit, then add another. And it
Mhm.
goes right back to the first thing you said was, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's like you can't boil the ocean. Why try to boil the ocean when you can't even tie your shoes or can't even make your bed? Start there,
Yeah.
right? That right when your day starts is where you should be starting with your first habit. And once that becomes part of your routine, then add another. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Awesome. So we've talked a lot about, creating and implementing good habits, but on the flip side of that, have there been any habits that you've had to break or adjust over
Yes.
time? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The dreaded and horrible, horrible social media.
Mhm.
That is addictive, and they got the blue screens, they have all the programming, they have everything to addict you to, being too addicted to it, and then it's, ADD, it's short attention span theater, and your
Oh yeah.
dopamine goes every time you flip the thing. That is a rough one.
Yeah.
And I fight with that daily. And I tried that whole 15 minutes or half an hour and shut it down, the whole drives. That never worked for me. That's not going to work. So what I do is I say, okay, it's now reward for me. If I
Mm,
get these three things done plus whatever's on my plate, my reward is I get to go on that thing for half an hour. And
yeah.
I turn the reward system because it's so addictive in the brain. I mean, shoot, I bet you some narcotics have less addictive personalities than social media.
Mhm. Yep.
And so because of that, I return it into reward system versus just try and distance myself from it. And if
Right.
I fail too much, there's a delete app button and just let
Yep.
it go. And so those are the habits. You asked earlier, and I do want to come back to that. You asked
Mhm.
what happens when I get out of my routine and I'm not motivated.
Yeah.
When I'm not motivated, it's because I've lost direction.
Mm.
So
Yep.
one of the skill sets that I have and why I've been very successful in my life is because I have no problem putting my reward 5 years away and
Yeah.
working for 5 years towards it. Most people can't do it past 3 months,
Yep.
and that's fine. And I have answers for that. If you can only go 3 months and you peter out, cool. We're going to put a reward every month. So by the time that third month comes, you petered out, you've already gotten 2 rewards, you're about to get your third reward, that's fine. But for me, I have no problem with my discipline putting a reward out there 5, 10 years. And so
Absolutely.
because of that, I'm just going to keep chugging along and chugging along. When I lose my focus of that reward is when I find myself on social media. I find
Mhm.
myself not motivated. I find myself just lackluster on the weekends. And it's only because I lost focus of where I'm going. And so
Yep.
that's when I pick up a book. That's when I start
Mhm.
reading books. I'll be very
Yeah.
honest with you guys. I read a book a year, one book a year.
Mhm.
For the people that read 30 books a year, I'm sorry. That's too much incoming information. You're not acting on the information you have. It's like a
Yeah.
conveyor belt. It's going in this side, it's falling out this side, and you've forgotten what the last book says. As soon as I find my purpose again or my drive, that book gets shut.
Good
I have
shot.
some books that I've been reading for 12 years and I'm only two-thirds of the way through. Because once I
Mhm.
had that spark of an idea of what I need, the book's
Yeah.
done its job. I set it back down. I don't
Yep.
need to continue to have that drive. I just need that spark.
I like that. And I think it's really important to clarify, especially for our listeners out there. Aaron is a serious action taker. He can, get 40% of the information or 60% of the information, come up with an idea or a solution, and boom, he's off to the races. There are other people that they need to have 100% times 10 and read it over and over and over again. But the key point of emphasis here is to be able to take action. And to your point, you can read one book, 30 books. I think the key is if you don't put any of that into action, it's only knowledge. It doesn't become wisdom, right?
Yeah, no,
So
we have a common friend, Mr.
yeah,
Farmer, and he
yes,
laughs at me all the time. He goes, "Aaron, you got about 10% of the idea, and you've jumped out of the plane, and you're still putting your parachute on, trying to figure it out, but you've already jumped."
yeah,
And I will be very honest with you. The reason why I do that, I mean, the reason why is because I don't want to formulate a plan for 3 years,
yeah,
then take action on it for 5 years, and I'm 8 years into it, and
mhm,
realize I didn't move fast enough, and I'm already
mhm,
behind the curve, and now I'm worried with the population.
yep,
As soon as I go, it'd be really cool to fly to Catalina. I start getting my pilot's license. I'm
yeah,
I'm 1 month away from getting my pilot's license. The idea popped in my head in January. I started taking flying lessons in March, and I'm almost done in September.
that's awesome.
So it's just one of those things. I don't want to
Mhm,
wait because I'm going by the time I really need it and it's in place and I got to use it. it won't be there if I don't take action right away.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, we guys remember MySpace, right? I think
Yeah,
about MySpace all the time. Here today, gone tomorrow.
that's right. Yep.
I don't.
Amazing.
That life is going to be there no matter what. And so, what we got
Yeah.
to do is harness it and take action at the moment that we have it there. I don't want to
Mhm.
wait, think about it.
Yeah. And as we kind of uh, close this segment out a little bit on the building and maintaining habits, one thing that I want to call out is that, when you mentioned goals and then your tasks and, completing 3 a day, I think it's important for our listeners to know that, you know, what is a vision or a goal for Aaron that's 5 years out, that's come from years. And Aaron said that is years and years and years of creating these habits and achieving goals. And these goals become greater and greater and greater that they take longer to accomplish. Whereas you're first starting out, a goal may be very well be, um, you know, a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but the more into a rhythm and the more that you start to generate momentum, you will start to see that those habits take longer and longer and longer to complete because they become bigger. You become, I don't want to say ambitious, but your desire to accomplish or attain more, it grows with each goal. And so keep that in mind.
I want to say on that one with the ambitious goals.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to have an ambitious goal that fails.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Because
right.
if I have an ambitious goal, like perfect example, 5 years ago, I drew up a lazy river for my property. I want a pool with a lazy river,
Nice.
an 80-foot lazy river to run around a pool. So I can sit there, my little pina colada, and float around in a circle. I thought that'd be awesome. And I aimed towards it. I got an architect involved. I started moving stuff. I started really, and at the end of the day, I said, am I really going to use this? And so I
Mhm.
decided to take a vacation, to go to a hotel that had a lazy river, and I floated around in it. And after 2 times around the lazy river, I was bored out of my head.
Yeah.
And I went, this is a dumb dream. But I had already saving for it. So I had a big savings account for it. I'd already thought it through. So crazy in my house wasn't abnormal anymore. It opened up so many doors and windows for me. And now I have a 28 orchard, all these fruit trees. We just ate figs and pears last night for dessert off our own trees. That never would have come to fruition if I didn't
Right.
think I could put a lazy river on my property. So don't be afraid to have these crazy goals. And if it doesn't work, you're still better for trying for it.
That's right. Amen. So in shifting a little bit, thinking about balancing work, health, and well-being, you know, you work hard, you play hard, and I'm a big believer in that approach. I mean, you can't play hard if you don't work hard because you won't have the means to play
Yeah,
hard, right?
exactly.
So how do you, knowing that that can be in what you do in your career and running all these businesses can be very demanding. How do you balance the demands of your high achieving career with maintaining personal health and well-being?
Personal health, easy. That one's in the morning, right off the bat. I get the blood flowing and whatnot, and that keeps me right in line. All my blood work comes back clean from the workouts. So the health, just in the morning, I tackle it every hour a day, and I'm done.
Nice.
Next is the kids. I got 4 kids. One's in college, one's in high school, elementary, and kindergarten. So I got a big spread. And so in the morning, I cook breakfast for everybody and make sure we all sit at the breakfast table together. That family unity. There's something wholesome about that in my heart that makes me understand why I get up and do it every day. So I like to have the family meals for breakfast and dinner.
That's
Um,
nice.
then after that, and when I get home from work, I do my best I can to shut it off. That's probably about a 20% success rate.
Mhm.
Honestly, 80% I can't shut it off. I end up talking to the
Yeah.
wife about them for an hour or two before I finally calm down.
Yeah.
And then the kids, we went swimming, we played tag last night, we played volleyball last night, and we're just very active. And then at 8 o'clock, it's TV, whole family calm down, and we're running
Mhm.
around. 8:30, bedtime. All the kids are asleep by 9. The 2 teenagers in college around 10 o'clock. But I'm in bed asleep by 9 o'clock without fail. And I get
Nice.
my 8 hours of sleep. I can do more by sleeping more and eating healthy in my 8 hours of a lot of time for work than I can if I skip a meal and do 12 hours of work.
Hmm. That reminds me of an employee I had several years ago. He was working 50 hours a week, and the guy was phenomenal. And he asked me for some feedback, and the feedback I gave him was, if you can learn how to do what you do in 50 hours in 40 hours, you will become that much more effective and it'll have a great impact on your career. He went from being an architect to being a chief information security officer in his field, and that took 4.5 years for him.
No,
And
I will. Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that. And I will say, I did not pop out of the womb like that.
yeah,
I was
right.
working 50, 60 hours in my 20s and early 30s to grow all this, and it took
Yes.
long days and whatnot.
Yeah.
Then I realized an hour to 2 hours a day was talking at the water cooler. It was searching the internet for something I really didn't need. I was looking for camping gear during my work time. I was blurring the lines of work and personal. And now when I'm here, and that's it. It's just work. And when I get home, it's just home. And I do still the same amount of stuff, the same amount of day. And I would say, I guess I'm more present in the moment. And in my 20s and 30s, I was not present in the moment.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably had a good amount of anxiety because I was always in the future trying to plan for the next step.
Yeah. So you just reminded me of something, and I'd say, I don't know, I can't remember where it's down in the lineup of the podcast lineup I have, but we're going to come back and we're going to dive into strategy because I know that you love strategy. So we're going to come back and visit that. But before we wrap up, I want to reflect, take a little bit of time to reflect. If you had to reflect on your career, what's one habit you wish you would have adopted earlier on, and why?
That's a really good question. And there's so many different answers that come to my mind. But to put one at the top that edges out over all the rest,
Mhm.
I would probably stay in the moment and stay focused on what you're doing. The 2 hours on, 10-minute break, 2 hours, and then lunch that they do when you're, trading time for money when you're a kid.
Mhm.
There's a lot of genius to that. You need to unplug for a second, think about things, and then go back to it. For me, about every hour and a half or 2 hours, I will get up, I'll get water, I'll use the restroom, I'll stretch, and then sit back down and continue on. But having those breaks versus thinking that I'm Superman and can power through the whole day, that
Yeah.
would probably be the one I wish I adopted earlier because I would have gotten more done. I was lying to myself on my level of accomplishments.
Oh, outstanding. I think very wise words from lots of years of experience. Um, I I couldn't have said it better myself. So I like to work through a series of rapid fire questions as we close out each episode. So we're going to go through a series of questions, some serious, some for fun. But the main objective here is to rip them out off the top of your head. And we're going to dive into that. Are you ready?
Go
All
shoot.
right. So, what has been the most fulfilling moment in your journey so far, and how does it align with your purpose?
Most fulfilling moment was when an owner that's signed on for Square Coil came to me at my booth at a trade show, shook my hand, and said, "If it wasn't for your software, my company would have gone under last year."
Wow. Powerful. I love it. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. That's
Yeah.
cool. Very good. So, next, if you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting on a similar path as you, what would that be?
Your competitors are not nearly as good as you think you are. Keep driving, and you will find yourself at the top very quickly.
Awesome. All right. So, you are in a unique industry, and I believe you've carved out a space for your own, especially with what you're doing in the transition from, not transition, but how Square Coil came about. So, how do you envision the future of your industry or field, and what role do you see yourself playing in it?
To be honest with you, I'm searching for world domination. And I
Mm,
say that not lightly because that's a big undertaking, but I think I can achieve it. We have over this is $8 billion industry, and I already have 1.2 billion running through my software. Now
wow.
think about all the ancillary things that come with it. They need to buy materials to buy signs. I
Mm,
already have $250 million of materials going through my system through purchase orders. Why can't I build warehouses and apply them with the materials that they have?
yeah.
Why can't I be the end goal there? Why can't we start doing product knowledge meetings where we're going to store the product of what's happening and teach
Mhm.
people how to use them and have a whole learning center in the software? Why
Wow.
can't we have a school system that we can build, the Square Coil Academy, where people come and learn how to do the signage industry and then go to different companies in different areas? There's so many different things that can come from this as
Mhm.
we are now the foundation and backbone of this industry. There's so much growth and so exciting. It's endless where we could go.
You know what I love about today's conversation is Because the first thing you started out with, it sounds like you're describing an elephant. And from what I know of you, you're going to tackle that. You're going to eat that elephant. It's going to be one bite
Mhm.
at a time, but it's going to happen. I really believe in you. Um, so, on that note, what are some upcoming projects or goals that you're excited about, and how do they align with your overall vision?
I'm starting a society that
Hmm.
is a request by my customers. They say, we want to talk to other people that run the software. How are they doing things? How are they analyzing things? How are they using the software? We need to be able to talk amongst ourselves. Can you please start a society? And I first poo-pooed it, went, nah, I don't got time for that. And they said, well, we're doing it behind your back because you don't, it has to happen. And I went, oh,
Ooh.
uh-oh. And I said, okay, fine. So in the next month or two, we are launching the Square Coil Society. We'll have different tiers on how much knowledge they want to learn. It's probably going to end up leapfrogging the Square Coil Academy. That will be going in the next month or two. And I'll be
Okay.
very honest with you, that all came to fruition in the last 45 days.
That's outstanding. And so it sounds like when you got that feedback, it was like you forgot the camera was there for a second, but your customers love you, so they said, "Hey, we need you to do this, or we're going to go do it." And you're like, "Oh, hey, hang on, I got
Yeah.
you. Let's go." Outstanding. All right. So knowing that you've got everything, all the balls that you have up in the air, all the plates you're spinning, whatever you want to call it, can you share a challenge that you're currently facing, and how you're navigating through it?
So one of the problems I'm having right now is I have a company in New York. They're a union company. And you
Hmm.
know New York and all the special rules they have. And they are doing overtime in the time card section of my software, but their overtime hours are varying. So I can't put a rule down as it changes and they want a checkbox. Well, that simple little thing in software, you think I just put a checkbox here and override the code is a nightmare. That's 15 reports we got to change, whatever. So we're there 6 weeks deep and they're yelling at me, I need help. And we are truly moving as fast as we can. And so the only thing I'm doing is I'm being honest and I'm being transparent. This is what it takes. This is what we're doing. This is how we're chewing through it. And it is what it is,
Yeah,
you know, and I've
absolutely.
always found honesty and transparency wins no matter what.
Absolutely. All day, every day.
Mhm.
And sometimes people forget about that, and they think of the short-term gain, and they forget about the long-term outcome, right? So you if you make the wrong decision for a short-term win, it's going to have a it's going to have a terrible impact on your long-term outlook. And so, the transparency, the communication, the clear communication, setting the expectations are huge, absolutely
Yeah.
huge. So, four more, but they're super easy. So we're going to dive right into those. Who or what inspires you to keep pushing forward, even on your toughest days?
Easy. That's my family.
Hmm.
All of the success I'm making and all my toys that I have, they're not for me. They're
Right.
for my family so they
Yes,
can
ma'am.
have a really great life. I came from a poorer family. I always wanted the Nintendo. All the kids in the neighborhood had a Nintendo. I never got one. We couldn't afford it. And so I always wanted the kids to have it when they were, young and full of energy. And so
Hmm.
my purpose is my family, hands down. That's real simple.
Awesome. So, in one sentence, how would you summarize the purpose that drives you? And it's kind of similar to what I just asked you, but
Act like everybody is being able to watch you and don't leave anything on the table.
love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So, these two are more fun than anything. What is your favorite curse word?
I hate to say it, my knee jerk reaction is fuck. Although I really wish it was booger.
Yeah.
I really wish it was like, booger, booger.
Yeah.
I really wish I could knee jerk to that one, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the old F bomb comes out more than I care to admit.
That's all right, man. And so far, I think that one takes the lead as far as that question goes. So, last one. So, when you pass and you go meet God at the white pearly gates, what would you like him to say to you?
Good job. Mission accomplished. You touched a lot of lives and they're better for it.
Outstanding. I love it. Well, brother, I so appreciate you joining. I appreciate your brotherhood and your friendship even more. Before we go, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share, where can our listeners find you?
The AC Method. We're on
Mhm.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That's my podcast. I'm talking more about different training areas on how to apply. You are ground zero. When you're talking about the purpose and that is ground zero. I run over that. Going Mach 5, I'm more into the weeds on other things. So you can learn about that on the AC method. And then if you want to go into more in-depth things, you can always find me at aaronklivicher.com. I'm one of those special guys that built my own website, so I feel cool.
There you go. And build it from the ground up. Best way to learn, right? Last thing is, I like to tell people, hey, if you really want to learn, if you want it to stick, jump out of the frying pan and into the fryer.
I love it.
Aaron, thanks again. I appreciate your time. I wish you well, and may all your endeavors come to fruition, and God bless.
Oh, thank you for having me on the podcast. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.